A third case of the coronavirus is confirmed in Ontario. Health officials say a university student in London came down with mild symptoms after returning from China last week. Plus, you may remember the Walker Power Building looking like this, an eyesore in Walkerville, but now it's partially open for business after a major transformation. Cloudy and 0 right now in Windsor. Good chance for snow tomorrow. How much? Your full weather forecast is coming up a little later in the show. Good evening. I'm Jason Vio. Chris is away tonight. Health officials in Ontario are confirming there is a fourth case of coronavirus in Canada. The patient, a woman in her 20s, and she's in London. She arrived there from Wuhan, China on January 23rd, but medical experts say there is virtually no risk to the public because she took all possible precautions. She started experiencing symptoms the next day and went to hospital, but she was sent back home for monitoring.
This is somebody who actually wore the equivalent of surgical mask for her entire travel from Wuhan to London, even though she didn't have symptoms at the time. She went straight into isolation in her home when she returned home. The only time she's been out of her home since then is to hospital for testing, and again, wore the equivalent of a surgical mask to protect others.
The woman is a Western University student and hasn't returned to campus since she's been home from Wuhan. Health officials say the woman is no longer ill but remains in isolation. They noted that her levels of the virus were so low, a first test for coronavirus was negative. Meanwhile, in China, the death toll from the outbreak continues to rise up to 249 as of today, with 9,700 other people infected. Also higher, the number of other countries with confirmed cases, with the UK and Russia reporting their first patients. 23 nations in all now affected by coronavirus. Meanwhile, the Toronto man who was Canada's first confirmed case of coronavirus has been discharged from hospital.
His status continued to improve over the week, and he reached the point of no longer requiring hospitalization. He will remain in isolation in his home until such time the public health is confident that there is no risk of transmission.
The man is in his 50s and was admitted to Sunnybrook Hospital last week. He was diagnosed with the virus after traveling to Wuhan, China, along with his wife. She also has coronavirus but didn't require hospitalization. Officials saying today she's doing well. Well, those of us who drive along Riverside Drive may have noticed the Walker Power Building now has power. A major transformation has taken place over the years, and while the outside still resembles its historical character, the inside has become modern and new. And now, we learned today, the first tenant has moved in. Amy Dodge has been on this story today, joins us live from that very building tonight. So Amy, tell us about the big transformation that's taken place there behind you.
Well, Jason, I don't know if you can see or not just because it's gotten a little bit dark, but there is still some scaffolding on the side of the building, a sign of a lot of work still to be done on the outside of the building. But as we're about to tell you, there's a different type of work being done on the inside. After standing derelict for 19 years and more than 3 years of transformation, the first tenant is in.
Oh, it's fabulous. I mean, there's so much natural light.
The accounting firm, Baker Tilly, moved into the second floor on Monday. And while the space is new, the company is not. Baker Tilly has been around for more than 65 years in Windsor. Scott Dupy says a new office space has allowed the company to reimagine their work environment.
So I'm finding people are moving around the office, working more with their teammates and that type of thing.
Dupy says that's because there are more collaboration rooms for people to brainstorm, ergonomic desks for people to work standing, which helps people hover around one screen. And there's a large kitchen away from the work area for socializing.
We're overjoyed with it. We're very happy that that Baker Tilly and Scott here are pleased with the space that we were able to create for them.
Built in 1911 and 1912, some of the original structure is now architectural highlights for the new build.
This part of the building has beams.
Exposed beams on one side, these columns on the other. Here's how the same columns looked when the building was bought in 2016. While the windows and floors were replaced, all of the original brick is still exposed. And for the first tenant, They are just waiting on the finishing touches.
According to my wife, it'd be a lot of artwork, green things, some more plants, but more just accessories, stuff like that.
Well, the first tenant is already moved in. It's expected to take at least another year for the rest of the tenants to move in. The owner says about 70% of the building is spoken for, and there's interest in the remaining 30%. Now, he also said he spent about $12 million, if you can believe it, to get the building to this point so far. Jason.
What a stunning transformation when you see that photo, Amy, of the greenery on the outside. Thanks so much. Renewed contract talks have entered a third day between the province and public elementary school teachers, but the union says the clock is ticking to strike up a deal, or there will be more strike action ahead.
I'm happy that they're back at the table. I hope that they mean business, because we know that before in December they were at the table, but they weren't ready to negotiate. They weren't offering anything except the cuts to education, and we just can't have that.
The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario says if no deal is reached today, each board will walk out twice a week starting Monday. ETFO has been holding one-day rotating strikes for 2 weeks now. The two sides met at the bargaining table on Wednesday for the first time since December. An update now on a story we told you about last September, where a Windsor Facebook group helped a woman reunite with her pet.
I know that he's doing a lot better now. He seems a lot happier.
A 20-year-old Windsor woman is now living in a place where she can have her dog back. Michaela Brooks couldn't keep her dog Tank when she broke up with her boyfriend last summer. She faced the possibility of giving the dog up to the Humane Society, but a man from the Windsor Dog Spotters Facebook group took him in the meantime. Now she's living with her mother, sister, and aunt, and of course Tank. Brooks says Tank is happy in his new home and has other dog friends to play with as well. The Windsor Public Library is set to move into the Paul Martin building over the weekend. The central branch will close at its current location in the core at the end of the day on Sunday. Next week, it will move to 2 floors of the building at 185 Olette Avenue. The first floor will be the library itself, while the second floor will be administrative offices. The Downtown Mission paid $3.6 million for the space the library is now leaving. And Unifor is being ordered to pay thousands of dollars in legal costs after its blockade last September at the Nemak plant in Windsor. The illegal strike lasted 2 weeks. Now, the union accused the company of violating their contract by planning to close the factory and move the work to Mexico. Local 200's president says the judge shaved off $20,000 from what the company was seeking, but he's still frustrated. Nemak's legal fees will cost the union $36,000. Britain's divorce from the European Union just became official. As of 11 London time, 6 o'clock our time just moments ago, the two have parted ways. But the long and often bitter process has left the United Kingdom anything but united. More from CBC's Aaron Collins in London.
Bye-bye, EU, bye-bye. Outside Parliament in London, a celebration, the mood of excitement and renewal for supporters of this movement. This is their time.
Is it a day for celebration?
Yeah, for Queen and country.
After 3 years of waiting, the UK's long goodbye with the EU is here. But even among the most ardent Brexiters, an acknowledgement that there are hard days ahead. Perhaps the biggest challenge negotiating a trade deal with the EU.
We want to have a Canadian-style trade agreement. We want to be global Britain.
Well, getting that deal done will be near the top of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's to-do list. But in his speech to the nation tonight, an emphasis on unity.
Our job as the government, my job, is to bring this country together now and take us forward.
No easy task. This is a country that remains divided. On the cliffs of Dover, a message from those who never wanted to leave the EU, more than just a sentiment for many here.
I feel really depressed at the idea that we are leaving Europe because it has meant so much to me.
But back in Parliament Square, signs that the two sides in this contentious debate are at least trying to mend fences. One hug at a time.
I needed to be here and I needed to hug it out. I needed to feel that we're all somehow united after 3 years of really vile hate on both sides and from all parties.
So Brexit has happened. The UK has left the EU. But Scotland and Northern Ireland both voted to remain in the European Union, setting them apart from much of England. Rumblings of independence have already started. So the question now is whether the price for the United Kingdom's independence from Europe is that it will one day be dismantled. Aaron Collins, CBC News, London.
And Britain's divorce from the European Union and Brexit has divided the United Kingdom, and it's also split among those who have moved across the pond. 2 expats now living in Harrow are on both sides of the debate.
Well, when I left the UK, we were the UK, we weren't part of Europe. And I believe that the UK is strong enough to survive on their own. All our suppliers are all gearing up for made in Britain. And we're a make it British store, so a lot of the goods that we have in the store are from the UK, made in the UK. It's a very divided country right now. In the south of England, they wanted to remain, and the more depressed areas in the north of England wanted to separate. So you've got, 2 points of view, split down the middle. London, like Toronto, tends to get everything, and everywhere else tends to get ignored, like Windsor. Most of the Brits that come in here are supportive of having, our own country back. We are an island, before we did the Channel, and I think most of them are supportive of that. Time will tell.
I think it's not a good thing. I think they're going to lose a lot of trade over it, but it's what the people wanted. I think they're going to lose a lot of money and a lot of jobs, and a lot of industries are going to suffer from it because, their market is going to be shrinking. And in fact, there's some of it happening already just because of it's been going on now for 2 years or so that they've been talking about it, and businesses have been pulling out. And I think a lot more is going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see the sunny sky. I see doom and gloom.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News, will we see snow this weekend? Well, there's a good chance. Colette Kennedy tells us how much we could see coming up after the break. The car rental industry is no stranger to misleading prices and extra fees. The Competition Bureau has even cracked down on the industry in recent years. But is it still happening? After hearing complaints about one car rental location in particular, Marketplace investigates. Magda Gabriselase has the story.
Last name? Jones.
When it comes to renting cars, Ryan Jones is a pro at the process.
You go in, what you're quoted, you get, and you leave.
But Jones says that's not what happened at Economy Rent-A-Car in Mississauga last summer. He thought he got a good deal with the online booking, but in person,
the quote was completely off. They had an additional fee required for insurance, which added something like $80 around that to the rental price.
An extra charge for using his credit card insurance. He's not alone. Marketplace has heard from other customers frustrated with the extra fee. So to find out if we'd get charged, we sent producers in with hidden cameras.
So if you want to use your personal insurance, then there will be a surcharge of $11.95 per day on top of the rest.
And kept hearing that covers
third-party liability coverage. So if you damage anybody else's car or if you hit any pedestrian, so we cover them.
But that charge is not listed under the base price.
It's deceptive. There's a culture in the industry around bogus charges and that they don't seem to be able to get away from.
Remember that fee?
And just take liability, which is only $12.
Turns out they can't sell liability insurance. That's according to the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Rental car companies are required to insure their own fleets.
Arthi? Hi there.
We went looking for answers from the owner of this Economy Rent-A-Car location. Arthi Sood says her employees misspoke, that it's actually a total protection fee to cover extra costs like towing.
Some companies charge, some don't. We do charge. Please read the terms and conditions.
Are you willing to change anything that you're doing right now based on the information that we've given you? You're not going to change anything.
Policies are online.
The Competition Bureau previously fined some car rental companies for misleading prices. Big chains like Hertz, Avis, Enterprise paid millions in fines. The Bureau tells us it continues to investigate similar practices in the online market and will take action if it finds evidence of false or misleading advertising. Magda Gabriselase, CBC News, Toronto.
And for the full Marketplace investigation, tune in tonight on CBC television at 8 o'clock or watch anytime on CBC Gem. Well, the impeachment trial of U.S. President Donald Trump could end as early as tonight, and it's all but certain he'll be acquitted of the charges against him and will remain in office. That's because the Democrats have lost a key vote in the Senate trial and won't be able to introduce damning new testimony. Allison Northcott has the details from Washington.
Senators, the American people want a fair trial.
Republicans have resisted the Democrats' repeated demands for witnesses, with Trump's lawyers saying it would make the trial drag on and that the president has done nothing that merits being removed from office.
It is not our job to expand the House's investigation.
Let's get on with the work of the people and put this behind us.
Democratic senators wanted to convince a handful of Republicans to break ranks with their party and vote to call witnesses, but it didn't work. One Republican, Lamar Alexander, said there is no need for more evidence to prove something that has already been proven and that does not meet the United States Constitution's high bar for an impeachable offense.
If my Republican colleagues refuse to consider witnesses and documents in this trial, the president's acquittal will be meaningless because it will be the result of a sham trial.
The main witness the Democrats want to hear from is John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor who, according to the New York Times in his unpublished book, backs up the allegation against Trump that he withheld military aid from Ukraine to pressure that country to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden.
Today we were greeted to yet another development in the case.
Today, the Times reported more details from Bolton's manuscript about the pressure campaign and who knew about it. The Democrats used it to bolster their case.
Mr. Bolton's manuscript portrays the most senior White House advisors as early witnesses in the effort that they have sought to distance the president from, including the White House counsel.
All of this moves the trial one step closer to the final vote on whether to remove the president from office. But with the Republicans controlling the Senate, Trump is expected to be acquitted. Allison Northcott, CBC News, Washington.
And Colette Kennedy joins us live now for a look at weather. Colette, I hear there might be snow tomorrow. Good chance for that. Not flurries, but snow. And as we've talked about, this really excites me.
I'm glad that you're excited, Jason. You know, I don't know how exciting it is, given that it's only going to be maybe a trace to a few centimeters. But if you would like to see some light snow, and I'm sure there are some, not only kids, besides Jason, but also I know my dog loves to play in the snow. So that'll be kind of exciting, right? I don't know how excited you are about the month of February, but I thought I'd give you an overview of what would be a typical February. And it doesn't mean this month will be typical. January wasn't. We had, what, 25, almost 26 days worth of temperature. The daily high, anyway, was above seasonal. Well, just to look at what an average daytime high is for Windsor, for the month of February, keep in mind it's going to be lower at the beginning of the month and higher at the end. So this is averaging out the month. It's 1.1, -6 for the low. Rainfall over 35 millimeters, snowfall over 30 centimeters in general. And by the way, back in 2000, there was a day near the end of February where the temperature spiked over 20 degrees. So that is possible in the month of February. We're nowhere near that. We're 20 below that right now in Windsor. We're sitting right at the freezing mark. A bit of a breeze, so it feels like -3, -4, Chatham-Kent. And seeing that first weak system, that upper trough kind of pushing away, so some light snow and flurry activity there. But the situation is that yet another one, a couple, like a series here of systems, primarily weak though, but that are going to be coming through. So we get rid of that first trough tonight. And then as we go into Saturday, we may even start off with some sunny breaks, but this is what Jason was talking about into the afternoon and evening hours. A little bit of light snow, a few centimeters is certainly possible. And then into Sunday, so we still have some of that lingering Saturday night into Sunday morning, but then this warm front comes through. A bit of mixed precipitation as it passes, but more importantly, the winds turn towards the southwest, and we're going to see a warm up Sunday, but into Monday as well. 2 days where that temperature is going to spike, and then the cold front is going to go through, again, with some mixed precipitation when it does, and the temperature's coming down. Overnight tonight, our low is going to be about -6, feeling like -8 to -10. But Saturday, we go up to 2, Sunday 7, Monday 7. By the way, the record Monday is closer to about 9, so we're likely not there. That mixed precip Sunday, but if we get some sunshine with that 7 Monday, boy, oh boy, how about that?
I mean, I'll take what I can get in terms of snowfall, Colette, but it looks like what little is going to fall is going to melt anyway. So.
Yeah, that's very true. But you know what? Deeper into next week and deeper into February, it does become more winter-like. You'll get excited again about the weather.
All right. Thanks, Colette. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome. You too.
And our weather photo today is from Steve Bureau. Check out this calm water on the Detroit River and the reflection of the Motor City on the skyline there beaming off of that. Great shot. Thanks so much for sharing this one with us. And you can send us your best weather snapshot taken anywhere in Windsor, Essex, and it could be our next weather photo of the day. Go to our Facebook page, post it on our wall, or email us directly, windsor@cbc.ca, or tag us on Instagram or Twitter @CBC Windsor. Well, still to come, new running shoe rules will cause some sneakers to be banned for competition. We'll explain after the break. An Indonesian conservation agency has launched a contest to find someone who can free a saltwater crocodile wedged into a motorcycle tire. Indonesia's state-run news agency says the 4-meter-long croc has been wearing the tire since 2016. Previous attempts to remove it have failed, and no expert can be found to carry out the task. The conservation agency is concerned the tire will eventually strangle the animal. The agency chief says he's not looking for amateurs, but rather someone with a background in wildlife rescue. Crocodiles in the wild can live up to 70 years or more and weigh up to 522 kilos. Well, Nike's Vaporfly will be allowed in the Tokyo Olympics. The controversial shoe has been under scrutiny for its performance-enhancing effects, and some calling for a ban. Instead, World Athletics says it's putting in place tighter rules for high-tech running shoes. Now, they include a ban on any shoe which has a sole thicker than 40 millimeters and any shoe that has more than one rigid embedded plate or blade. The new rules also require all shoes used in competition after April 30th to have been available to the public for at least 4 months. Now, last October, Eliud Kipchoge ran a record-breaking marathon in under 2 hours. Under the new rules, the shoes he wore then will be banned. And it's one of the most grueling races in the world in one of the world's harshest climates. The Yukon Arctic Ultra Marathon has begun.
2, 1, go!
Now, over the next few days, more than 60 people from around the world will race hundreds of kilometers. Most competitors are on foot, some ski or cycle. Now, they started off in Whitehorse yesterday in relatively warm conditions, a balmy -8 degrees, but they are ready for brutal, dangerous cold conditions. Competitors in past races have lost limbs to frostbite, but the marathoners say the adventure is worth the risk. Well, it's 6:29 here in the CBC Windsor newsroom. That does it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, for news anytime, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. And we're on social media too, of course. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just for Laughs Gags is coming up next. Have a great night and a great weekend.